Welcome to Mental Millennials with your host, Shelby Friesen.
So today I've got you back, Ed, and we're gonna do a little bit different today. So we're gonna actually record a coaching session between you and I. Normally these are private and either in a coffee shop or in your place or wherever we do it. But leaving last podcast episode, you had the idea to actually record one of these live so other people can see what it's like and how a coaching session actually works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And maybe even some of the stuff that you're working on and learning and exploring in and of itself could be beneficial for people to hear. So
yeah, exactly. There'll definitely probably be some other people dealing with the same stuff, I would imagine.
Yeah, so it should be fun. We'll try it out, see how it goes. Yeah, typically we don't have headphones on,
no,
or a microphone, or even the knowledge that this may be shared publicly, right? Like you said, it's usually private. So it's a different environment, but I'm super excited to try it out and sort of see where we go.
Yeah.
Awesome. So are you comfortable and do you have everything you need?
Yeah, I think so.
You got water and
I got water down
nice.
here.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think, I'm good to go.
Okay. Let's give it a go. So we chatted a little bit before we actually started recording, and I felt like we were diving into, the catch up and me getting up to speed on your life since we last saw each other like a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
And then I was like, let's record this because, I'd love to just kind of get up to speed. Like what's been happening. I've been following your daily emails. We had a phone call a week ago and things are shifting. It sounds really exciting. A lot of movement in your world. Give me a little bit of an update.
Because we had the phone call on that Friday.
I think so, like a week ago today.
Yeah. That was, because Wednesday I started reading The Illusion of Money. And then I had to call my business partner on, I think it was Thursday morning. I was like, man, I got to take like the next 2 days off. Like I just need to read this.
And what was happening for you? Like a day in, I think you carved out a bunch of time and you were just crushing that book.
Yeah. Like I read it in like 2 days.
Yeah. What was happening for you? And that led you to go, okay, I need some space. Like something's happening. I need some space. What was going on for you?
Well, just because I already know like the podcast and, this realm of being able to help people is what I want to do. And since I've started doing it, though, I've been telling myself and everybody else that it won't make money, or at least for a long time, right? I'm like, okay, there's people who make money with podcasts, but and everyone's question right away too when they ask about like, oh, well, like, how would you even make money with that? And that's what they always ask. And I was like, oh yeah, well, you don't really. But I mean, you totally can, or use it to feed other things or whatever you want to do. So I've been telling myself that for a long time. And I think one reason is because it's easier for me to make money with Ride, like the automotive stuff. I know that it's easy for me to launch new products or put things in place there to make more, just because I know that. Like,
and it's easy now, years later after starting it.
Yeah. Because like now that's what I know, and having to come and do this, or trying to make money in this sort of realm, which is more like, I don't know, almost info product type stuff, or information. I don't really know, but it's, I don't know how to make money.
It's a different game
doing it yet. Yeah. So my first idea has always been, why not just make money where I know and then use it for this, which I mean is fair. I guess it would work. But it's just like a drain. I don't really like spending that much time there. And even when we were talking, or I said to my partner like a few weeks ago, because we were going to launch those Harley parts, I was like, man, I just really don't care about Harleys. Like, and nothing against them. Like, would I ride one? Yeah. Would I buy one? Yeah. But if it got like blown up tomorrow or Harley fell off the face of the earth, I wouldn't care. So that kind of like should have answered the question for me. Like, why would I spend time doing this stuff that I actually don't care about? But the book was all about just like not worrying about the money or letting that kind of control you, and just do what you want to do and like kind of let go of the need for that. And just follow what matters to me. And every time I kind of do start working more on the podcast or getting into it, people start booking. I start enjoying it. Like it's nice to, like when I work on it, shit happens. When I don't, nothing does.
Yeah.
And I'll always put ride first because it makes money. I'm like, I got to do that first because it's making money, and that's going to pay for this. But then by the time I get around to doing the work for growing the podcast or the other avenues I've been thinking of, it just doesn't happen. So,
and why do you think that is?
It's just a lot. And I think like sometimes I let ride and other things drain me too much because I'm either overthinking about it or whatever it is. Whereas if I put all that energy only into this, it would grow exponentially faster, in my opinion.
So Thursday morning, send a message to your partner because you're partway through this book. You're feeling like, whoa, here is something that is almost kind of confirming or validating an existing inner tension that was happening. Part of you is like, I really want to be following stuff that excites me, that I'm passionate about, that allows me to contribute and give back. And yet I got to pay the bills and I want to make money. And so this book is sort of speaking specifically to that inner conflict.
Yeah.
And you're going, holy shit, I need some space to process this, basically.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Nice.
I just really wanted to think about it because I'd been diving in to like, for the past, I tried to quit like 2 years ago, right? And then I took I wasn't really doing much. After that, I was like, okay, I would need some time. I basically took that year off, but we were still running it. We were both doing minimal work. I was dealing with everything like mobile that I could do, like calls, emails, get the sales, work on the online shit, and my partner would get the stuff out. But then I decided to jump back into it recently because I wanted to make a bunch of money selling the Harley parts that we were going to launch. So I've been spending a lot more time on it. But yeah.
Nice. And
then realizing I don't really want to spend that much time on that. And like before when I tried to quit, I was just like, really? I mean, I'm still scared about it. It's not like I'm not ready to fucking go have this big plan of how I'm perfectly going to work it out and pay the bills. I don't know. But yeah, like 2 years ago, when I wanted to leave, I was actually like just too scared to do it because I didn't know what I would do. I didn't even have the idea for the pod, like for this then or anything else. I was just knew that's not what I wanted.
Right.
So I kind of spent the last 2 years forming that into something. Now at least I have a bit of a baseline to roll with.
I was going to ask, what's different now? What do you think is different now? You're speaking a little bit to it, but just elaborate more. Like,
well, also like I guess when we had our call and when I said I finally realized how much I have to offer, that would be different. And
tell me more about that. Let's pause on that before we jump to the next thing. What does that mean to you? What happened there?
I mean, I always kind of like, I know I have an interesting life and have done a lot of things and like some things that people may never do in their whole life. And I'm still quite young. So like deep down, I know I do have a lot of things, but I don't know. It's like I always logically talk myself out of it. I'm like, oh, like the shit I know is like everybody knows that. But recently, I've really been starting to realize that's not the case.
And how did you get there? Like, and I know we're talking about the book being super impactful, but the book is nested within the coaching we're doing. It's nested within tons of reading I know you're doing, tons of conversations. You started the email list, like the podcast. Like you've been working. You're doing a lot of work on yourself and giving back to people already. So you're already in this space. But how do you think you got to that? It was just that breakthrough of like, I've got a lot to offer. I'm realizing I've got a lot to offer.
It was a few different things the past few weeks. Like I've been actually doing like sort of doing some minimal coaching with my business partner.
Like you've been coaching. You've been delivering coaching almost.
Essentially like we would meet and we'd make food one night because I don't know, then we have healthy food we can eat every day. And it's obviously easier to eat it when you have it sitting there. So we were doing that together. And then I was kind of laying different things out for him because he's got a lot on the go.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times I'm we sat down one day, laid out like all the things that he has on the go, like building cars or trucks or whatever else, through life. And once we put all the stuff on the board, and I was like, holy shit, like, I was like, dude, I don't think me and you could do that if we were both working on it all full time. Like, that's how
Mm.
much work and tasks that there were. So then we kind of reorganized them. He was like, well, shit, I've never really looked at it like that.
You provided a new perspective.
Yeah. And then I'm like, okay, well, why don't we reorganize this stuff into like what's most important to you? Because it's all like just all over. And then like we kind of reorganized it. And then we left. And I mean, yeah, I gained a bit of new perspective. Then the week later, I did a new diagram that I don't know. I just thought of it because that's how I think of like my life. But I drew a little circle, and that was essentially like our relationship and the business. And then I wrote like all the stuff that I do outside of that around it, and how like all of it helps that. Like whether I don't know, my exercise, food habits, reading, people I talk to, meet with, like what we're doing right now. It doesn't, it's not directly for that, but it all helps everything. It just all works
connected,
together to like, get you whatever the hell you want to do. So I laid that out because I was like, man, like in my opinion, when, we sit down, have these meetings, say we want to do this stuff, and we leave, everything that you do outside of here doesn't really impact what you say you want to do within this. And when we did that, he was like, fuck, man, I'm just really overwhelmed again. Like I've never really thought of my life like that. And for me, I just, again, think like, well, everybody knows that, like, just do shit that's going to help everything else you do. So I was like, okay, what the hell? Like, this is kind of weird. Not weird, but I was like, okay. And then, because we had been kind of working like with the habits, kind of like routine stuff a little bit.
And just to pause you there for a second, this is kind of weird. Like, I just want to anchor that a little bit. Your insight in that moment, like I'm hearing, wait, like, whoa, I kind of just thought this was obvious. Yeah. And everybody knew this. But now that I'm actually teaching someone and articulating what I do maybe a little bit more naturally, I'm realizing this is not that obvious for a lot of people. Well, and it wasn't obvious for you at a certain point in the past.
No, like I've been in the exact same spot. And I just kind of assume that people know, they just don't want to do it. Right. So I'm like, oh, like, okay, anybody knows what they have to do or how to build their life. They just don't feel like putting the work in. But the reality is like, they actually just don't know, or, depending.
Yeah, there's some block that it could be a bit of both. They don't know, or they might have some ideas, but there's blocks and beliefs. And we'll talk more about that in a bit, I'm sure. But
so then, so we've been doing a bit of that. And then I joined a new like business kind of like mastermindy group thing online that I've wanted to do for a while. And they started this like double your income training that was like free, but it's not really one of those shitty online double your income courses. It's not really about that. It was a lot about like building essentially what I've been talking about with my partner, like building your life and discipline and stuff in a way that you're working efficiently. Being able to do these things,
foundation for running a successful business or whatever you want to go after.
Exactly. So the first training, and I had already thought about like through the list I've started and stuff, maybe doing some sort of like habits or routine thing, or like really getting into like how I build my life. And so we did the training, and the whole time I was like, this is literally what I do.
So you're, just to clarify, you're a customer of this other email thing, kind of like yours almost, but you're receiving teachings from someone else.
Yeah.
And you're going,
I was like, this is exactly what I thought about actually teaching.
I know this stuff. I'm living this stuff is what you're saying to yourself.
Yeah. Because there were so many people like on the Zoom meeting that were just commenting in the chat thing like, oh, like I want to start eating better, but it's just like, I have all this other shit on the go. I don't think it's really the right time yet and all this shit. And I'm like, the fuck are these people saying? I'm like, what do you mean it's not the right time? And then the guy running it is pretty funny too. Like, I think we have pretty similar, like the way we would talk and stuff like that. And he's like, man, like, I just got to be straight up. Like, there was like no better fucking time to start eating healthy. That is like the one thing you should do right now. That will be the best thing you'll probably do. And the guy was just like, oh, fuck. Like, yeah, like I know, but like, but it was wild to see all the, cause I don't know, I think there's probably about 50 of it or maybe 40 in there. I don't know, maybe even less, but either way, yeah, everyone was like, commenting like, oh, like I really want to try and do this habit more or build this habit. And I was like, man, I literally have all of these. And I didn't like, I'm not like, oh yeah, fuck these idiots kind of thing. But I was just like, wow, this is like crazy. Because like I literally could be teaching that.
Right.
So that's where I'm.
So it's like working with your business partner. You're now paying for this course and receiving teachings where you're going, like, I know this stuff and I'm ready to teach it to others. It's like two major pieces of evidence.
Yeah, because
you've got a lot to offer.
Because that call was on the Thursday.
Right.
When I was like, that I took off. So I was like, holy shit, this is crazy.
And what's happening in the book that's fortifying or if at all, guiding you towards this realization of like, I've got a lot to offer, a lot more than I maybe realized at first. Was there anything in the book that kind of...
No, I don't think so. It's just really I think I think honestly the turning point really was that call. Because I was like, okay, holy shit, this is literally what I thought about. Something that I could teach. I mean, that guy knows a lot of shit that I don't know. And
vice versa.
Yeah, but for being like I was just kind of like, okay. I mean, people are paying a lot of money to be in here, and like, I could literally, So I was kind of like, fuck, this is weird. So.
Yeah. It's interesting. This is weird. Again, that's your go-to. Yeah. Let's pause on that again. It's funny. You get to the realization that I have a lot to offer. I, Shelby, have a lot to offer. And we're sort of floating. We're looking at that concept. How did you get there? What's the evidence? How did that shift happen? And then the summary is it's kind of weird.
Well, yeah.
And I wonder, like, why that it's such basic language. That's weird. It's sort of like, that's interesting. It's like filler language.
Yeah.
And then you're quick to move on to the next topic. And as I want to bring you back because I want you to really sit in this space for a second of like, I'm realizing I've got a lot to offer. And I know we've talked about this already on our call, but while we're reviewing it, really anchoring into that, you've read a powerful book that started to shift you. It somehow contributed to you creating space, saying, listen, work, business partner, life, pause. I need a couple days to go inside, with myself, to be with myself. So powerful move, number one, on your part. Most people, and we've all, you and I have done this in our past as well. We're getting to something, it feels like, heart opening or like mind bending, or there's some shift is happening, and we go, but I got to make money, or I got to go to work, or, I got to get back to what I normally do. And then we sort of push away this seed that is about to burst through, this seed of insight. You said, fuck it, I need space, and you carved it out. So step one, that was powerful. And then you started to reflect and you go, wow, like I'm actually already coaching someone one-on-one in a way, in a really powerful way. And I know it's had an impact on his life. So I've talked to him. To you are paying for teachings and receiving teachings through this online course. And part of you is going, this is great. And I know this, I live this. Like I could teach this to other people. So, and then we get on the phone and your big breakthrough was like, wow, I'm realizing how much I have to offer. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But that, what do you think that it's kind of weird piece is in the
just because I've never really thought that I did. I focus so much on making money and I don't know, never really think about just giving value because I'm like, well, what do I really have to give? But I've just, started to notice that.
And how does that change things? Like if you can continually bring yourself back to this state of mind and this belief system that Shelby, I actually have a lot to offer. I'm not perfect. Like I'm hearing you say as well, you're ready to continue to learn. You're not done. But where you are right now, you've got a lot to offer. And you did before the podcast. You did before all of this. You've had a lot to offer the whole way through. You're just starting to really see it now. But how does that change things now? If you can really live in that space of I've got a lot to offer, what does that open up for you now? What's different?
Well, I find that I don't really like a lot of the worry is kind of gone.
Nice.
Because that's usually what I'm stuck in. I'm like worrying, oh, like shit, how am I gonna make money, or what about this, or what about that? But I'm finding it easier to just jump in and do things. Especially like that email or doing the first live call yesterday. There wasn't a lot of us on there, but I did get a little bit nervous, and I thought, like, who really cares? Like at the end of the day, I don't know.
Maybe when you're stretching out of that space of I have a lot to offer, maybe the nervousness comes, but then if you bring yourself back to, well, no, yeah, this is new. I don't know how it's going to go. I don't know who's going to be here, but ultimately, like, I know I've got a lot to offer.
It just I think it's been allowing me more to actually feel confident in like offering help to people. Because at first I would kind of, I would hold back or wouldn't be like, oh, I don't know if that's right or they shouldn't do this. But I mean, I don't really think anything's right or wrong. It's really just kind of like inspiring. The point is to inspire people to do whatever they think is right and let them find out for themselves realistically.
It's beautiful. Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
Very nice. Okay, so let's pause for a sec. You've got a lot to offer. In the last week, you've made, it sounds like a real shift in your intention in terms of, letting go a little bit of this chasing money kind of thing, the illusion of money, like the book talks about. Letting go, trusting that you have everything you need to live an abundant life and create a lot of impact and wealth and all these things. And ultimately, it's going to come from all these great things you have inside you that you're going to continue to develop. Where do you want to go? And you don't have to have the crystal clear answer yet. That's a tough question for a lot of people, a lot of us. But like, what do you want? Where do you feel the flow of life is taking you from here? And what would you like to create going forward?
I don't really know. I don't have like a set plan for what I'm doing. Realistically, like I just want to get more people. I want to start getting more people out on the podcast and like, I mean, I've been really lacking on reaching out or trying to build a community or anything out of any of this, which essentially was the idea at the beginning, like maybe even holding in-person things or trainings or whatever. Or even just gatherings where like guests who have came on or people who are interested, like want to go, want to do things or meet other people. I think community, like building a little community out of everything I'm doing would be, was like kind of always the idea. And especially with the email list and like doing the live call, like that's what those people who showed up for that wanted too.
Yeah. What was that like? So that was last night. You had a live, like a virtual group chat for an hour.
Yeah.
So, audience members from your email list.
Yeah. And I mean, it is fast to introduce. Like, I mean, the way that I built the list wasn't really, I wasn't telling people I was going to do that or whatever it was. I just wanted to see what happened. And I know that I sort of enticed people with money if I missed a day of an email. But the people who really who showed up last night, I asked them at the end, like, why did you guys join the list? Would you stick around if I did it after 30 days? What do you think about doing the live? Like, how did you like this call? And those 5 people like really wanted, like, yeah, like 100% I would stay on it. I didn't join it for the money. If you said it to me, I actually was going to decline it.
Interesting.
Like
because you had a bit of a question mark around, did I get all these 50 people to sign up so quickly because I was offering?
Well, I knew a lot of them weren't for the money because a lot of people were like, I'm really excited to hear what you have to say. And people have already reached out a lot saying like, I actually look forward to these every day. So that's cool. And I'm like, okay, people are really taking to this as being 9 days. Like I haven't really wrote that much. So I thought that the live might be a bit quick where it's like, after 30 days, they would know a lot more about me and probably vice versa. But I just thought like, who really cares? Like if
Go
5
for it.
people are willing to show up, why not just do it and see what happens?
Mhm.
And worst case, nobody shows up. It'd be funny at the least. Like
You're
tomorrow,
still
like
in there.
literally whatever, nobody showed up. Who cares? Like that would lead me right
Yeah.
into my like laughing in the tough times
Yeah. Yeah.
email I'm gonna send. So
Yeah. And so, okay, so, and I don't want you to feel like you need to share specifics from last night or from anything you've received, because it's, confidentiality is important, but in terms just thematically, and, I know a lot of people are replying to your emails. 5 people showed up last night and they're asking questions. They're in dialogue with you. From all of that, all of your exchanges, and the fact that you're starting to have dialogue now with your community, what are you, at this point, what do you feel is the purpose of this? Based on obviously your intention, but also the reflection you're getting back from the world, is you've put something out there with some sort of purpose.
Yeah.
And now there's a bunch of stuff coming back and you're starting to have this exchange with people. How is that purpose evolving? How would you describe it in this present moment? What is this? What are you doing? And what is it that you were trying to create here? No pressure, but because it's an evolving purpose. So whatever you say now could be different 5 minutes from now. But what's your feeling based on your intention, but also what you're receiving?
I don't really know. I mean, it's like, I guess even at the beginning with the podcast here, like the idea was just to relate, like allow people to relate. And that's really what's coming up in the emails, is like they're replying because they relate to something that I've done. And I'm not sharing, about my big successes or whatever, if I've even had any of those, whatever that means. I'm just sharing about like my daily life struggles, good things and bad things, whatever it is. So people are just relating, and they're not, they're just sharing that, because most of the responses will be like, oh my God, like, that's awesome, but this is happening through my life, same thing, kind of whatever. And then, I don't know, like, yeah, it just really seems like people obviously want to relate to somebody. And if you can make that relationship go further than just like an email, which was the point of the live, like we all got to go on there and talk about everything that people wanted to know about or were relating to or whatever it was. So,
and what are some of the themes that are coming through really strongly? Like
right now?
Yeah.
For a couple of the people is really like doing what I just did, like really letting go of something in their life to chase something they actually want to do. So there's a few people who want to like start their first business. There's a person who wants to just quit her job but has no idea what she wants to do. There's another that was more so just asking about ride, like what don't I like about it anymore? Do I not like building things and all this sort of shit? So yeah, just really relating around. I mean, because that's a pretty big shift. So a lot of people are relating to that because they obviously want to do something else than whatever it is that they're doing. So
yeah, so just as much as you're sharing stuff about your past, like I know today's email was about the struggles you had like 3-4 years ago to even walk down the street. It's what's kind of beautiful for me as an observer of this is it's going back 4 years, and it's being written in the present moment where you are all once again going through a transformation.
Yeah.
You've let go and you're opening up. And you said a little bit earlier, letting go, like some of your audience members are also in that process of letting go and then chase so that they can chase something different. And I'm curious about that language. Like, is that how you would describe what you're doing? Are you letting go so you can chase this path, or
I don't know. I think I always go back and forth between this, where I think you have to put, like, you have to surrender to it. Like for me, like with Ryder now, trying to fully let go. But then I struggle with, like, you have to be disciplined and put the work in. But you also have to let things happen how they are and be able to kind of read some of the signs that are coming through. But the problem is, like, I don't like saying just surrender and see what happens. There has to be both. Like, if you just surrender and see what happens and just fucking stand there all day, nothing's going to happen. I mean, it could. I don't know. Maybe something falls out of the sky and you get what you want. But I think you still have to put a lot of effort in, but how do you classify that without saying, I guess I don't really know the wording to use to classify how you would do that without saying like, I don't know, chasing or having to drive to like really, you have to get what you, I don't know, you have to put something out there to get something back, I guess, maybe.
Interesting.
I don't know.
That's a
yeah.
Let's probe this a little bit, or probe this for a little bit. So
I think it's more, well, because what we talked about last night too was like, if you are giving value and you're doing something that's like has a positive impact for people, and you're doing, it's something you care about and something that's like impactful and, valuable to the world, I guess, or anybody, even just one person, that it'll work out. I believe, but I think if you're out there trying to scam and like do random shit to just make quick money, it probably isn't going to work. I mean, it could. There's lots of people who do it and have made money, but it's probably not worth the effort you have to put in.
It makes me think of a quote, something to the effect of, whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're right. So if you believe that it's possible to succeed following a path where you're of service and giving and helping people and learning and then finding a way to teach, if you believe.
Yeah.
But if you believe that that's not possible, it sounded like maybe some of your beliefs earlier were like, there's no way I can make money. There's no way I can succeed. There's no way I could live doing work like that. Well, you're probably right as well.
Yeah. No, 100%.
It really comes back to, what do you believe is possible?
Yeah.
Because if you're committed to the belief that you can't succeed following an authentic, sort of inspired life of service, it's going to be really hard.
Yeah, for sure.
You're working with your sort of inner lawyer there, the rules and laws that your sort of inner self is set. So it sounds like you're really opening up to the former way of being, which is it's possible. And in fact, it's almost sounding like for you, it's the only way now. You've seen something, you've experienced a shift, and you can't go back.
Yeah.
So tell me, what do you need most right now, Shelby? Like right now, what do you need most?
I don't know. It just seems like making the time to do, I don't know, just to keep working on this stuff and putting the energy out there. I don't really know.
And are you having any trouble with that? Because I know I can see you're doing a lot. You got me back here. You're sending out the messages. Like, are you struggling with that at all?
Oh yeah, I mean every day. It's like, yeah, I mean every day it's definitely a struggle.
And what's that? Tell me more about the struggle. What are you finding most difficult?
I don't know. It's kind of like, I guess it's just like every day it's a struggle to just not think about money, really. It's like, yeah, the book makes that shift, but it's not lasting. It's like you have to keep pushing that every day. Kind of like in the email that I wrote today. Just because I read that book and I felt like that for a day, I could just fall back into my normal, comfort zone and whatever. I read that, but forget about it.
Right. That's what happens with a lot of us. We've both experienced that in our past too. You get inspired and then we go back to our patterns, that safety.
But then to like enforce that every day and just keep doing it, that's where it's a little bit hard, right? It's like every day I got to wake up and go, okay, it doesn't matter. Just do what I can that's valuable today, and we'll see what happens.
So you're saying, what I'm hearing you say is you're struggling with the thoughts, particularly around money. Every day, that's a bit of the struggle. So what are you thinking about money? What are the thoughts or beliefs? Are there patterns?
Oh, no, I just worry about like, what if I don't make enough in time to, like, in case of, and even like the thought of having to like, because one of the guys on the call last night was asked about being financially, you think it's better to be financially stable before you pursue like a passion? And
Someone asked you that.
Yeah. And I
And
didn't.
so then you go, whoa, am I financially stable? What am I doing? Like kind of,
Well, and I
does
said
that trigger?
I said what most people do when they start is like set their baseline of how much they need to essentially live. Like, obviously, I mean, you could buy a fucking tent and sleep in the bushes if you wanted to, but, you know, to pay your
The next
basic.
episode will be recorded from Shelby's tent in the backyard.
Yeah, like it could be. But yeah, it's like to just, you know, set your baseline and just figure out how can you make that much money. I mean, obviously you could go beyond and set bigger goals, but that's what most people do. Well, I see a lot of people that do that kind of. It's like, hey, all I need to do is make this much. If I can do that, then whatever, we'll just keep going. So, but then I thought about it, I'm trying not even to think about that because like I don't want to think about the minimal most money I can make just to get by with what I'm doing. Like I just want to forget about having to make it at all and just seeing what happens. If that makes sense.
So come back a bit. So what are the fears though? Or thoughts that are difficult that you have around money every day?
Honestly, like, yeah, it's really just that. Just what if I don't make any money in a couple months,
Okay.
and then
what if I don't make any money?
Yeah.
So what if? And do you let yourself answer that question, or do you just sort of?
Yeah, I just kind of say like it doesn't really matter. Like even if I went 6 months and made no money, I'd still be alive. And like I always know. I kind of justify it by saying that I always know how to make money. Like I have skills to go back to, you know, like realistically worst case, okay, I'll just go fucking build a truck part or I don't know, fix somebody's truck for $1,000. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's always a way that I could make some money.
So just to slow down a little bit, you have the thought, what if I don't make money? And probably many different thoughts, but there's a theme there for sure of like, yeah, what if this doesn't work out?
Mm-hmm.
And then part of you gets to answer that question. Well, I've got a lot of skills that I've built up, and worst case scenario, I can go back to what I'm doing, or I can go, you know, build stuff or fix people's cars.
I mean, worst case would probably be you have to get a job, but
yeah.
I don't like thinking about that.
So your worst case is what a lot of people's best case is. I just want a job.
Yeah.
It's pretty privileged. That's pretty awesome. So is that usually enough to sort of solve that fear, or?
Yeah, usually.
Yeah, and you just keep moving.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario is I have to get a job.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't even know why I think of jobs that bad anyways. Like, it just depends. Yeah, I don't know.
Let's double click on this. What if I don't make money? Why do you think that's even a question?
I don't know. Just because I want to be able to still live and do the shit I like doing. Yeah.
But is there a bit of a fear that you're not going to be able to succeed going down this path in making money through this path?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit still.
Yeah. It's like the ultimate
fear. Even right now, everything I'm doing is for free, right? Like the podcast is free. The email stuff I'm doing is free. Like I've only done one live. I mean, it's still new. But the thought of like eventually charging, I don't know. Yeah, it's just like, I'll just have to see what happens when I get to that point where start charging for whatever I'm doing.
So the belief there is like, I can't make money doing this. It's still
it's not really a can't now. It's just kind of like more of a when and a bit of a how. I try to like let go of the how and the when really like, because even the list is already forming. Like I envisioned it to be that, to have like a weekly live and have a group of like, you know, even if from this list of 50, only those 5 people stick with it, who cares? That's 5 people who actually give a shit about me and what I'm doing and wanting to help themselves and care about their fucking lives too, right?
So it's all happening almost faster than you expected.
Yeah.
As you sort of let go more and more.
That was just a random little vision that I had that I thought about trying, and like it's already halfway together in 12 days.
Yeah.
So thinking about that, and even just the people that, you know, I met some really cool guys on Wednesday who are doing some cool shit with Connection. And just like the people that I've been meeting and even, you know, not focusing on, just like not focused on making money and just offering other people help. Like how, you know, like when I was really inspired when I left the meeting with them, because they're doing some crazy shit with just like the stuff that they're doing to connect with people and like events and their YouTube channel and stuff that they want to start doing. I was like, man, I'd be happy to like help you guys do like anything. I don't really care what it is, but if you want to hand like going to shoot one day, like I've done that kind of stuff. Or anything like putting stuff online or helping organize an event, like whatever it is, I'd be down to do that, which I would normally never do that. I would have gone into that meeting and been like, these fucking guys will never make any money. Fuck, YouTube channels are stupid. Connecting with people is like, I would always just think about like, not really a waste of time, but I would have been like, yeah, I don't really know. It'll take them forever to make money doing that. They should be selling some, create some product, sell it online, do something. But this time I'm like, man, it's actually cool. So just kind of changing, like, doesn't really matter. Or to be like, oh, they're not really making any money. They don't know what they're doing kind of thing too.
Sort of judging. And yeah. And you let go of that. You let go of judgment.
Yeah. So now I was just kind of like, man, this is like super cool what they're doing. And I was like, fuck.
What a shift,
I'd like to be a part of it in some way if I could. And then.
Isn't that amazing? You can look at the exact same person, thing, situation, and through a mindset of judgment and fear and limiting beliefs, it looks one way, and then you let go of that, and it looks completely different. Isn't that interesting? Like,
yeah, and it's just like, even like, what are the possibilities with that? Like, maybe one day, maybe we start sharing each other's shit, and eventually, like, I don't know, built like his vision was to have like this building downtown with like a core group of kind of like leaders who bring the people into the events and stuff. So he's like, man, it'd be sweet if we'd be like part of that, if you would, eventually be part of that core group or whatever. Like, man, you never know, like that could grow into something huge.
Yeah.
Or you could blow it off as a shitty coffee shop meeting and go home. So
brilliant. Yeah. So you got judgment, you've got, it doesn't look very exciting. It's like, that's going nowhere. And then the exact same situation through a different mindset is like, you're now asking what's possible, what could be possible. And that's a totally different question than what am I doing here?
Yeah.
And like, this is a waste of time. It's funny. What am I doing here? That's not even a question you would ask. It's more like judgment is more statements. This is a waste of time. This is stupid. They're never going to make money, whatever. Whereas from this space, it's questions. It's statements like, this is interesting and exciting. And what's possible? How can I help?
Yeah.
What's my role in this? What can I open up to receiving as well as giving? Like, it's all questions, which is so much more curious, so much more open-minded than that judgmental kind of shutting things down mentality.
Yeah.
Powerful shift.
Because another friend reached out and asked me to go over him and his friend's website. His friend built it for like this like mental health thing they're starting, where they want to give 50% of sales from each like product to some sort of mental health thing. I don't know the whole story behind it, but it's really new. And he's like, could you go over the website and give us some advice? So I looked at the website and I was like, I mean, in my opinion, yeah, like it's not a good website, but like it's the kid's first website. Doesn't really matter. Like, it was better than my first website ever was. But normally I would look at it and be like, oh my God, like this is fucking garbage. What are you going to like? And I would just basically give like all the negatives about it instead of now I'm kind of like, okay, well, he's got all the content there. Like all the, like anything, because that's usually the hardest part for a website is you have to have the content.
Right.
Anyone can build a layout, but actually,
yeah, there's templates out there.
Yeah, putting the information on it. So just like a way a lot of the stuff was done, I was like, okay, like this needs to be optimized like a lot, but everything's there. All we have to do is change that and build it into something that will work. So I'm like excited to work with them a little bit too and get to see how that will kind of turn.
Yeah. It's so funny that I feel like that's a metaphor for what you're doing with your life right now.
Yeah.
Everything's here. I've got everything I need. I've got skills. I've got experience. I've been through struggles and successes. You've got all the content. You've got all the raw material, all the life content. And it's just creatively working with it, asking yourself the questions. What's possible here? Who else do I want to get involved? How can I help? Like it's a major shift, Shelby. And so when I heard you say last Friday on the phone, I'm finally starting to realize how much I have to offer. That's why I said stop. And I just said it back to you like 4 times in a row. But and in your email, you said you had to hold back tears. I almost cried.
Yeah.
I almost cried hearing you say that, because I heard that for myself too. You know?
Yeah.
Because I'm going through the same journey as you. I'm finally starting to realize how much I have to offer. And so I was repeating it because I wanted you to hear yourself, and I wanted to hear myself say it. And it's so metaphorical with this kid's website you're talking about. He's got everything he needs. He's got so much to offer. There's all this, everything's there, all the building blocks. Now let's play. Let's get creative with our lives. And even if there's still shit we have to work out, I know you're dealing with rides still. You got to figure out a whole bunch of stuff. But if you're in the frame of mind that is creative, experimental, asking questions, what's possible, there's no need to judge it as good, as even good or bad. It's just moving with it and allowing yourself to bring all of yourself to your life and start to shape it in the direction you want it to go. So what do you need now?
Nothing. Yeah.
You have everything you need.
Yeah.
And you're doing it.
And
it sounds like, you're more rapidly than ever working through these limiting beliefs around money. And I would just offer, if there's anything around I can't make money or I don't know how or when, pausing and really grounding yourself in, I have everything I need already. I don't need more money. I have everything I need. All the skills to help me figure this out. And just centering, like if there's anxiety or discomfort around money, before you, like, and everyone has a different approach to this, but personally from my life, like, sometimes I've been through phases where I spend a lot of energy combating those beliefs. It's like, no, I'm going to make money. I can make money. And it becomes this fight, and I'm stuffing down and trying to block that fear of failure. Whereas what I've been learning to do and what a lot of the teachings I've been receiving and sort of seeing it happen with people, and I think a big part of what has been working for you is closer to this philosophy of making some space for that fearful part of ourselves and not reacting so quickly. You wake up and you're anxious. What am I going to do today? How am I going to figure this out? I'm never going to make money. Whoa. And just kind of loving that part of yourself. There's a book that a client just recommended me to last night called, I can't remember the name, but it's like 90 Seconds to Something. And it's all about letting go, a lot of what we've been talking about, but it gives a bunch of practical exercises you can do, because this woman's belief is if you can just make 90 seconds to sit with your fear, to sit with your anxiety, to sit with your negative beliefs, 90 seconds, that's all you need to transmute that energy into something more productive. And so whatever the number is, like, that's less important. I think just generally holding space for those thoughts and those fears and really just getting curious, because whatever is noticing the fear, that's you. You are the higher level of consciousness that's just witnessing the fear. But the fear is not you. Even when we say I am anxious, I am not anxious. I am witnessing anxiousness, and it might be really difficult, but just the fact that you can witness it means that you are not the anxiety.
Well, I kind of felt that actually with like just being cold the other day. But I don't remember where I was, but I was laying, might have been in the osteopath appointment I was at, or when that day I was downtown, or I was in Lonsdale, and I was like laying on that wood thing on the water. But like, it was like only like the cold was like touching like the outer layer of me, like the whole way around my body, and I could feel like the whole outside of me was cold, but I was like, inside I'm not even cold. But like, it's just the uncomfort of feeling that cold on you. I was like, I'm not actually cold yet. I can just feel the cold.
Yes.
So that was kind of like weird. Where I was like,
and normally you might react and say, okay, I got to bundle up.
Yeah,
I'm going to get sick.
Yeah.
This is unhealthy. I'm going to get that. We've been programmed to be so fearful of the cold
Mm-hmm.
that we get sick because we are so committed that if our bodies are cold, we're going to get sick. And that's why people are doing all this Wim Hof stuff. My brother's huge into cold plunging because it's retraining our minds to not be so afraid of the cold.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing goes with money. The same thing goes with connecting in relationships.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a whole bunch of fears we have around really being intimate with someone and getting deep with them.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't make eye contact. We can't be vulnerable and talk about what's really on our mind. So we're talking about how cold the weather is and all this other stuff. And so, yeah, again, if we can just sit, even, like, so cold is one thing. And then connection, if you're feeling social anxiety sitting with someone, we're so quick to jump, to run away, or to just blurt out stuff and just start talking. You know, that's a symptom of anxiety, is just talking.
Yeah.
And again, if we can just slow down and just love that part of ourselves that's tripping out and that's afraid, and go, okay, it's okay. It's all right. Breathe. And it's the same thing with this money. If you wake up and you're worried about, okay, well, how am I going to make this business work? Just breathe. Write down, you know, what are the thoughts? What are my biggest fears? I can't make money, or I don't know how to make money. What do I do next? Okay. Just write it down. Don't judge it. And with each one, you could even write next to it in another column a more productive thought.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's as intense as I can't make money, I can make as much money as I want doing this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to do next. Deep down, I know what to do next.
Mm-hmm.
I just need to open up to it.
Yeah.
Maybe you have a different thought, but that, you know, that's one I use, because I'm writing, I'm building a business as well. I don't know what to do next. I do know the world, the universe knows. There's so much going on that I don't even understand, but there's a greater design here that knows what's next, and I'm connected to that. I just need to slowly let go of all these fears and these insecurities and let that answer come forth. So, you know, I'll write that down and just take each one and just write something that's at least more productive. Because the reality is these aren't objectively true. I can't make money is not objectively true.
No.
There's no scientific data to show that you can't make money doing this. So let go of that and slowly and gently swap it for something that's going to help you. And that's like, you know, cognitive behavioral therapy is rooted in that. It's like, examine your thought processes and ask yourself, is this true? And is it useful? And every time you're going to realize that the answer to one of those is no.
Yeah.
Objective truth. We very rarely say things that are objectively true.
No.
Except for what I just said there.
Yeah.
And is it useful? Like, God, even if it is true, it's probably not useful if it's causing you anxiety or causing you frustration or depression or, you know, whatever it is, if it's holding you back. So it doesn't mean we have to like go all positive thinking and be like, I'm the greatest and try and, if that feels inauthentic or forced, that's probably not going to help either.
No.
Because you'll have another belief that's going, this isn't going to work. But if we can thoughtfully rewrite the script a little bit, and then just slow down and pause and breathe and go, okay, what feels like the next best action? And that might be you sitting down and starting to write your next email. Or maybe an idea comes in for a new offering for your community that would be really valuable, that you'd be excited to charge. And you think people would be excited to pay for it because it would be a game changer and the value would be 10 times what they pay. That's in there. If that's where you feel this going, that's in there. Yeah. Huh. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel right now? We're about an hour in.
I feel pretty good.
What else? Like if we just wrapped up, the whole thing shuts down, run away. Like what hasn't been said yet? Is there anything that you want to cover that hasn't been said yet?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think I'm kind of doing that. Like when I think about, because a lot of times, like, man, why am I even writing this email? Like it's not making me any money or it's not doing anything. But like every email I write is just, I don't know, give something to somebody. So I'm kind of like, and it helps me do it faster and learn more, and every response I get from somebody I learn. So just trying to look at it differently, because they do take me quite a while, right? Like, I mean, I'm getting pretty close to like an hour for one, which like I'm happy with, honestly, because they were taking me 2 hours before, like 10 days ago. So, and people probably think that I just go on there and fucking blast that out in 10 minutes and send it, but it's a lot of time.
Oh man, I know.
So to
but
write
in
that,
just a week, basically, you've improved your efficiency by 50%.
yeah. And like, even the more I write and get out and just like format, I can always go back and like take certain emails and build them into like a program or whatever, right? Like, can reuse a lot of the stuff that I'm putting out. So not really, just trying to not worry about it and just focus on, writing and doing what I care about, really.
What are you most excited about for what's coming next?
I don't know. I mean, the thing is, like, everything is like kind of out of my comfort zone, right? So it's like every day I'm just pushing some sort of thing. So I don't know. I don't necessarily get excited for those things. They kind of scare me. But then after, it's usually worth it. Like doing the first live yesterday, I was scared to do it, but now I'm like, oh, whatever. Like, that's actually not that bad. So I'm just excited to see what happens from just, I don't know, not trying to force everything. Yeah. Just see how everything continues to build. Like, I've already met some really cool people just from the past week, from just fully putting like more of my effort into all these things.
3 questions for you. You can answer them however you want. At this moment and going forward, what's your intention, or what are you inviting into your life? What do you need to let go of? And what can you offer?
What was the first one? What?
Yeah, one at a time.
What am I?
Well, what are you inviting into your life? What is your intention, and what would you, and i.e., what is it that you're inviting into your life right now?
I would say a lot of, honestly, like a lot of connection, probably. It's something I kind of like push off, but everything to do with what I'm doing is connecting with people. So I have to do that if I want anybody to come on the podcast, or if I want anybody to be on my email list or come to the live calls or get anything out of it. I have to be willing to connect with them. So that's kind of like what I've been focusing on, really, is just show up and connect with people, and just be open with that instead of judging them and shit. So
I'm inviting in more connection. And isn't that so interesting? The email you sent to your list today was telling stories about how you couldn't even get down the block. And if you saw people, you'd turn around. That's a very real, fear. And at a certain point in your life, that was the reality. Was connection was such a threat for whatever reason. And, we don't need to go into that right now, but it was such a fear that you couldn't get down the block. If you saw anyone at the park, you'd come back. And now look what you're doing and what you're inviting in.
I'm so scared, though. It's I was talking about today with someone else. Like, for some reason, people are like, to me, like the scariest thing. I don't know why, but like having to talk to somebody new.
And what do you think that's? But let's just quickly look at that.
I don't really know.
What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of when it comes to connection?
I guess just what people might think, or what. Yeah, that's probably it.
What would be the worst thing that I could think about you, or someone could think about you? Maybe we know each other well enough now that I'm not maybe the scariest person to connect with, but like, what's the biggest fear?
Well, I don't really. I think it honestly just kind of stems a lot from like my childhood, realistically. Like, kind of like growing up with my dad and stuff. It's just always about not being good enough. So that's realistically, in my opinion, where it comes from. Not really many other people have told me that I'm not good enough, but just from that being blasted into my head a million times when I'm a kid, that's where it kind of. And it's not like he didn't do good things or care about what I was doing, but that's just for whatever reason, that's what I remember.
Mhm.
So I think that's pretty big.
A fear of not being good enough.
Yeah.
Mm.
So
So what do you think you need to let go of?
that. Yeah. And I mean, it's just kind of like my email today too, about always pushing the boundaries with the running or walking or just getting out there. That's essentially what I'm just doing now, right? I'm always pushing the boundary of not being good enough. Like last night, I could have easily just pretended I fell asleep and not done the call, or I could easily just stop doing emails and never talk to anybody again. But just pushing it every day a little bit and just see how it grows.
And so what do you have to offer in the pursuit of all this and inviting in more connection, letting go of the fear of not being good enough or the belief that you're not good enough, probably even more at times, letting go of that. You are more than good enough. You have a lot to offer, as you've come to realize. What can you offer? What is it that you can offer the world?
Basically everything that I know. Well, everything that I know, basically.
Yeah, offering everything you know.
Everything I've learned, or, just what I'm doing, or, yeah.
That's beautiful. I love the choice of word, offer. I often think about that. I talk about that with people. It's like, this is an offer. It's like holding something with an open hand. And what's significant about that is I'm not stuffing it in your face and I'm not, eat it, deal with it, take it, learn it, be like me. But I'm also not holding on. It's like I'm offering the iPad and you try and take it.
Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah,
this is my iPad. You're welcome to have it.
Yeah.
It's just,
yeah.
And the beautiful thing about that is you can sit there as the person on the other side, and you can take it if you want it. Yeah, and you can also give it back, or you can just look at it and say no thanks. That's a big thing about business as well. Is like we're worried that we're, when you're selling something or marketing something, it's manipulative, and it's like, well, people don't have to take it; they don't have to buy it.
Yeah,
it's an offer. It's like a really good waiter at a wonderful restaurant. Those times you've gone out for dinner and it's just been magical. You're with amazing company and just incredible service. It's like at the end of dinner, them saying, would you like to look at the dessert menu? No, thanks. Or yeah, I'd love to. But it's just an offer.
Yeah.
And yet there's so much you have to offer. So just, yeah, beautiful. So one more time, you're inviting in connection, letting go of the belief that you're not good enough, and offering everything you know, free from attachment. Amen, brother. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. You feel complete with the session? How do you feel right now?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I feel good.
Yeah. What was most valuable for you today?
I don't really know. I never know how to break stuff down. Like, for some reason, I don't know. I've always hated those questions. People be like, "Oh, like, what's the most valuable thing you got out of that one thing?" And I even it kind of came up with my the guy who wants to buy Ride. He was like, "Oh, well, what do you value?" They were going to buy it without the name, and they were going to buy it. We've offered them to buy the whole brand, and it's double the price if they want the whole brand. And he was like, "Well, how did you give value to that?" He's like, "I broke it down, and I gave the social account this and the name that." And I'm like, I didn't do any of that. So I didn't break it down and give it a value. I said, it's just like, I said, it's fucking worthless if it's not together. I was like, how was that? I said, you can't even do that. That doesn't even make sense. And I was like, dude, you're not paying for the social account for that. You're paying for
complete
you're paying for the whole thing. I said, or don't buy the whole thing. And there's no guarantees. When you get the package, you're guaranteed the same revenue, the same customers, everything that we have right now. Nothing changes. When you buy half of it, you're guaranteed none of that.
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys are going to do. You could make no money. I have no clue. Or we're just, I don't know. So I was like, that's that's what it's worth in my opinion.
Mm.
I didn't break it down because if I did that, it would be worthless.
Right.
And that's kind of how I feel like these things too. It's like, I don't know, just the whole thing.
Whole experience.
I don't know. I can't think of anything in particular that's like, I just like the whole process of it, like going over everything, getting to talk about it. And then, yeah, it just helps me to be able to express my stuff. Yeah, that's that's an okay answer.
Yeah, it's great to be able to express yourself. That's pretty valuable.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also hearing, the complete experience. It's
Mm-hmm.
you wouldn't want to take out a single piece of it specifically. It's that
No.
it's all
Mm-hmm.
webbed together.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, I'm glad to hear you feel you can express yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet. Alrighty. Well.
Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, I always just feel like I'm excited to go do stuff after.
Right.
So.
It's like, let's get to work.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I almost, as a parting comment, it's so I need to look up the word. There's a word in Chinese, ancient Chinese. Have I told you about this?
I don't think so.
And the word basically translates to go slowly. And people would say it to one another after a conversation, any sort of interaction, any sort of connection. They would say this word, and it meant go slowly. So sort of like, let's not rush off and dive right back into work mindlessly.
Mm-hmm.
Something's been created here, especially in these types of interactions. The energy is totally different now, an hour later, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's go slowly. We're going to transition now. You and I will probably have 5, 10, 20 minutes together before I leave.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go slowly and let's preserve a little bit of this energy so that as we head back into our lives, we can bring a little bit of this to the other people we interact with and the projects and the work and even the copy you write. It's like bringing this energy to it. It's going to be much more accessible if we don't rush to the next thing.
Yeah.
So go slowly, my brother.
I will.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah.
This has been a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
No problem. It was good.
All right.